Any of you who have been in a toxic relationship know firsthand how much that can mess you up. It's crazy. You enter something that feels so special, hopeful, and really just purely amazing. You might even think to yourself how lucky you are for finding that ticket into a healthy and fulfilling relationship, but before you know it, the butterflies begin to flutter away, and suddenly your partner starts becoming drier and drier. They might even start talking to you less and less, and you guys are arguing more than you ever have been before. The more that you try to pull them back into what you two had, the further they pull away. And honestly, that just leaves you feeling absolutely hopeless. And really, the only thing you can do from that point on is just brace yourself for the inevitable pain that has to come. Before you know it, you hear the words, "I don't love you anymore," or "I don't think this is going to work out." Congratulations, you're single again. And your prize is more baggage than you can comfortably carry. In the days, weeks, or months that follow, you realize that you're a broken mess and worse than you ever have been before. You get told by your friends that there's plenty of fish in the sea, but you can't help but feel that none of them want any piece of you. It's just cycles of small nibbles before getting spat out for something better, and it all feels so hopeless. Well, if this sounds like you, then you're in the right place because I have been exactly where you're at now. And in today's video, I want to talk about some of my experiences with relationship trauma and how I managed to free myself from the weight of my insecurities to become somebody who wasn't a broken, self-sabotaging mess. All the while you watch me play some Minecraft. Alrighty, so first things first, before I jump straight into solutions, I want to open up about the biggest part of my trauma, my abandonment issues. That way you can get some perspective on where I came from and just how heavily I struggled with it. So, to keep it brief, throughout my early life, I always found it difficult to form any meaningful close connections, and as a kid, my home life was pretty dog shit. Between dealing with parents who were regularly in and out of jail or strung out on alcohol or pills and not feeling like I could ever be myself, it felt like I was set up for failure from the start. And the reason why I bring this up to you now is to tell you how there was barely any stability in my life. When you can't trust your own parents, it makes it 10 times harder to trust anybody else, and unfortunately, that does not translate the best when it comes to relationships. But, anyways, a few years later, I'm entering the dating world for the first time, and I start talking to this woman I really fucking like, and things are going amazing. We progress further and further into our dates, and I opened up myself more and more, thinking it would make us closer. Unfortunately, it had the opposite effect. Before I knew it, what felt like a dream began to turn into a nightmare. The woman I felt so strongly about began pulling away suddenly with no explanation whatsoever. It was like one day a switch turned on in her brain and suddenly she wanted nothing to do with me. Before I knew it, she left me for another man and my already low self-worth was pushed even lower into the ground. But here's the thing though. This wasn't just a one-off experience. With future partners, even some that I talk about here, cheating and getting used felt like the norm to me. I had so many people tell me that they wanted commitment, yet when I gave it to them, that's when I found out that they've been talking to and seeing dozens of other people while with me. It really makes you feel like there's something fundamentally wrong with you as a person, or that you really are as pathetic as you believe you are. But here's the part that really sucks. When you start building those walls up to protect yourself from the pain of your trauma, when you finally find that partner who's worth it, you only serve to push them away, just like the partners who did the same to you. In my relationship now, that's exactly what happened to me. I built up so many walls from years of pain that I completely neglected just how insecure I truly was. And my behaviors would borderline paranoia every single day. I couldn't help but worry if my partner was going to leave me. I couldn't help but worry about any men who talked to her. And at every moment I spent without her, it was just another reminder on how damaging her absence would be to me. And let me tell you, it drives you nuts. And I can't remotely begin to describe just how much it stressed me out. But the thing is, she could also see that stress too, and she could tell that something was up and it made her feel so awful or like she did something wrong when it was never her fault at all. It's moments like those when you really start seeing just how much your insecurity hurts the people around you, and at the end of the day, something needed to change or else I was going to continue to drive myself towards making my biggest fear a reality. So, how did I solve my abandonment issues? After much reflection, the first and biggest thing I needed to do was learning to spend time with myself. Now, that doesn't mean bed rotting or distancing myself from every single person in my life, but rather learning how to actually rely on me when it came to solving a lot of my issues. I think the biggest reason why I was so terrified of everyone leaving me was I felt like I would have nothing as soon as they went. I realized I got 99% of my validation through others and allowed external things to fulfill me instead of finding it from within. This was the equivalent of building a skyscraper with huge brick and metal walls and having it rest on a ghetto bamboo foundation. As soon as that foundation cracked, I would have lost absolutely everything. And I see this sort of thing in so many people around me as well. They can't help but get into harmful relationships that are horrible for them because they so desperately want to find that source of approval because anything would be better than being alone with nothing. And so the cycle of pain continues, and these people live the rest of their lives terrified of losing it all. So, what can we do to fix it? When my foundations were cracking, I needed something to strengthen them. As hard as it was, I needed to take time to legitimately spend time developing me, and I needed to know that I was inherently valuable. I invested time into my hobbies, learned new skills, and continued to hit the gym even when everything was telling me not to. Now, it was hard taking time away from constantly checking my phone for new texts or calls, but obsessing over all that bullshit fried my mind and had me constantly anxious. When I wasn't occupying my mind with something productive, I was instead constantly questioning everything. Additionally, months down the line, after getting good at a lot of these things and developing myself, it added another level of security. It's like, hey, I'm really not that big of a loser as I think I am, and at least I have these things going for me, and it's one more reason that I'm not going to be left by my partner. So, for yourself, the first and arguably most important way you can work on your abandonment issues is by focusing on you and your self improvement as a whole. Take that time to explore all the different sides of you. Pick up a new hobby, learn a new language, spend time getting jacked in the gym. All of it comes together to create a better, stronger, and more confident version of yourself who doesn't have to dwell on every reason why you aren't enough. But yeah, with the first point out of the way, let's move on to the next. Not turning your fears into reality. I'm the kind of person who believes that people can truly shape their own destinies, and through their words and actions, they truly can influence the situation that they're in for their better and worse. Unfortunately, this does ring true for fear as well. Like I said earlier, my fear of abandonment was so bad that it started impacting my relationship pretty negatively. With me being as terrified as I was from being left, I subconsciously prepared for what I perceived to be the inevitable. And unfortunately, that resulted in a ton of self sabotage. A distinct example of this in my life was when I was first dating a woman who I thought was the one. So, long story short, I started talking to this woman shortly after high school, and she was my very first introduction into real relationships. She was this short 5'2" woman who I thought at the time was 110% my type. She had the same humor, had ambition, and ostensibly had the same views on relationships as well. To keep it blunt, I was awestruck and I felt like I struck gold. In the months that followed, though, we started going on more and more dates, and things felt like they're getting more and more hopeful. Here's where I screwed up, though. A part of me felt like it was too good to be true, or that I wasn't enough as is, and that fear fucking consumed me. Every time I wasn't with her, I was just anxious, and I couldn't help but think she was probably talking to other men, and in turn, I took every moment we weren't talking as, yeah, she's probably messing around with other dudes. Despite the fact that she had done nothing to break my trust, I couldn't fully give it to her. I would text 24/7, try to schedule dates all the time, and in the end, it probably left her feeling suffocated as hell. Obviously, she began to lose interest, and the more that I pushed, the more that she pulled away, and before I knew it, she moved on. Had I just taken it easy and thrown my fears onto the back burner, I guarantee that things would have played out way differently. Before I threw so much of my value onto her, she enjoyed spending time with me way more because I was confident and easygoing because guess what? There's no expectations. I was able to just take things as they were instead of just placing her on a pedestal 24/7. The worst part about it all was that when I had the same exact thing happen to me in reverse, and I was suddenly forced to confront the reality of how shitty it feels to have a partner not trust you despite doing nothing wrong. I fucked up, man, and I'm glad I did because had I not, I never would have realized how toxic my behaviors were. So with yourself, don't make the same mistakes as me. My fears directly led me down a path where I turned it into a reality, and if you keep doing the same exact thing, then it's gonna fucking happen to you as well, man. The best I can recommend working on it is learning to confront those uncomfortable feelings head on. With my girlfriend now, when I first started dating her, my abandonment issues bubbled up pretty fucking hard. But the difference then was that I had the wisdom to know that my fears didn't have to equal reality. As a result, I continued to prove myself wrong when the worst crossed my mind, and it became more and more obvious that the insecurities in my head were just irrational. That doesn't mean to trust somebody who very obviously doesn't deserve it, but rather, if you have a partner who has done nothing wrong, then just take them for their word sometimes. None of this ghetto, fucking ghosting, silent treatment, petty bullshit that just serves to separate you two even more. But yeah, now let's move on to the last point. It's okay if they leave you. Now, let me get something straight and actually elaborate on this a little more. If you feel like you're genuinely inadequate and that your partner is going to cheat on you or leave you for the next best option, then you need to ask yourselves these questions. Is your dream partner willing to cheat on you at the drop of a hat? Is your dream partner not willing to accept you for you? And is your dream partner unable to commit themselves to you, mentally, emotionally, and physically? Assuming you're not as fried as you think you are, then I'm sure the answer to all these questions is a resounding no. This is why I struggle to understand why people not only cheat, but are willing to get into relationships with people who cheated on their past partners. Like, do you genuinely think that the person you left your partner for is seriously willing to take you at your word? You've already proven that you can't be trusted, and now you're expecting to have it work out. Like, it's so fucking stupid. But the point is, if your partner dumps you at the drop of a hat, cheats on you, or leaves you for another person as fast as you can say trust issues, then honestly, they did you a favor. After having so many people pull these things on me, I honestly appreciated it because I no longer had to waste my time on somebody who never deserved it. Even better, they single-handedly allowed me to find my dream woman who I trust with my life now, all because they decided to show their true colors. And dude, think about how awful it would have been if you decided to marry a partner who never respected you at all. Not only do you have the emotional pain of a breakup, but now you got the financial burden of a divorce on top of it. Point is, if they're the ones to end things, then it truly was never meant to be, and deep down I know you know that. Focus on the fact that you are one step closer to finding that person who isn't willing to throw you away, because they're out there, my man, and they're trying to find you too. But hey, with all that out of the way, this does bring me to the end of this video. If you have any questions that you would like me to answer, then go ahead and visit the Google form in the description. But to recap everything here, I know how much abandonment issues can impact your life. I've lived it, you have too. But it doesn't have to destroy it. By learning to be okay with yourself, by not allowing your fears to self-sabotage your relationship, and learning that the trash sometimes takes itself out, you truly can be one step closer to living a life without the burden of insecurity and anxiety that comes from abandonment issues. As I always say to you, I know you have what it takes, my man. You're stronger than you ever will know, and I'm proud of you for being here and making an effort to actually be the best version of yourself. I love you all, and without further ado, I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.